Next up, we have A New Hope. I mean, it's the first Star Wars movie I saw ever. My parents took me to see A New Hope in theaters, like, because they re-released them in the '90s, and they took me to go see that in theaters, and then I ended up throwing up near the end when like Vader was spinning out at the very end. I remember that so clearly, and my parents had to take me away, so I never got to see the little like medal ceremony and stuff. I never got to see that afterwards at the very end of that movie. So yeah, that was like them celebrating. That was very awkward. I didn't see that until later. But I mean, it's A New Hope. It's what started it all. And I can remember being a kid and seeing that, and your parents telling you that was made in the '70s, and you're like, wow, like they did some amazing shit. They did some amazing shit right here for a movie made in the '70s. And the more you learn about it, the more awesome it gets, and it just gets you into this universe. And look at what they've been able to create off of just like this small idea of like space wizards, you know, fighting with some like laser swords. Like it's incredible. Um, I will say, the only thing that I feel like is a problem with that movie, and this is kind of just the original trilogies in general, are the lightsaber fights are clunky. Obviously, they didn't know how to do them as well as they do now. You can go on YouTube and see, like, random dudes from wherever doing like more dynamic and incredible lightsaber fights. But the fact that you go back and watch and you see that, like the fact that they did them at all and like the effects and everything, like it was just so cool and so awesome to see. And that's why A New Hope is just always going to be like that Star Wars movie. All right, I feel like that's all I need to say. Like, yeah, we all know. So next up, I want to talk about The Mandalorian. Obviously, there's only been one season of The Mandalorian, so my only thing about TV shows is, especially live action TV shows, they're really really hard to make because things change a lot. Like you don't know if an actor can pass on. Obviously, like with the sequel trilogies, actors can decide they don't want to be a part of it anymore, and you can't just. It's hard to just replace people. You know what I mean? Like you can, but it can take people out. So you never know what can happen with the show. I'm excited that in season 2 they're gonna have Ahsoka, who is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, but we'll get to that in a bit. Um, but yeah, The Mandalorian has been really fun to watch. It's been really good, and I'm a huge fan of The Mandalorians. My favorites in Star Wars have always been either the Sith or just Dark Jedi in general. Like I like the Sith. I like when they're a fallen Jedi or gray Jedi, just kind of those middle of the line Jedi. And then I mean I've always liked the evil characters and like everything, so I like the Sith, and I like the Mandalorians because they're just like a warrior race, and they're not a race really. Like Mandalore is it's a religion and everything. We know this, but and it's like they just reward the strongest, and they don't really have any allegiances to the Sith or the Jedi. It's like whoever's the strongest, they're like, okay, we're going with you. They have the coolest bounty hunters and everything, and it's amazing that they were able to pull all of this lore and make this entire just culture based off of one character, based off of Boba Fett, who was we didn't even see him that much in the original trilogy. Like, he was there, he had like one fight, and now we have the Mandalorian. Like it's crazy, it's crazy. They even like the clone troopers, how they have the helmets and everything that are very much like Mandalorian because they were all Jango Fett before. They were all clones of Jango Fett. Like that's all off of one character. And it's amazing. It's amazing, and I love the Mandalorian symbol. If I ever get a tattoo, that'll probably be it. I want to get the Mandalorian symbol because it's awesome. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing show so far, and Baby Yoda is ridiculously cute. My girlfriend, she doesn't even like Star Wars, but she started watching The Mandalorian just because Baby Yoda is so damn cute. And I love that they do practical effects for Yoda, for Baby Yoda, as well as like some CG, and it looks so amazing, and it shows how far we've come, just with technology and like film and everything. So I've been enjoying the Mandalorian a lot, and I can't wait to see where it goes. So next up, I want to talk about Clone Wars. Um, so Clone Wars is an interesting one because honestly, it falls into some of the things that Rebels did, where, and I feel like it's mostly in like the first few seasons, where it was mostly made for kids. At first. See, that's the main thing. At first, it was, but like the creators, and obviously Dave Filoni, a big part of that. They started to realize like, okay, this is like canon. This is like we can do some things with this, and they started to have these episodes where it's just like, damn, like that's amazing. They started to have just some of my favorite things come from Clone Wars, and I feel like Clone Wars in general has made the prequel so much better. If you've seen season 7, and I'm not gonna spoil anything for season 7, but it really brings the whole, like, from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith, it really brings everything together so nicely. Like I've seen on YouTube people like weaving stuff together from like Revenge of the Sith and like Clone Wars and all this stuff, and it's like that's amazing. You know, that's incredible. Uh, yeah, I mean that's incredible to me that people have been able to do that. Um, but yeah, like I said, it can fall into that trap sometimes where it'd be episodic and they just need to like put some stuff out, have some fun like filler episodes or something like that. But for the most part, Clone Wars really came into its own. I feel like around like the third season, the end of the third season, going to the fourth and stuff, and it really started to become the show where like you didn't just watch it because like okay, it's some Star Wars cartoon, that's cool and all. Like you watched it because it was it was awesome. It was awesome. And I can even talk about the original Clone Wars series in 2003, which was made by the I can't think of his name right now, but the same guy who made Samurai Jack. And I was a big fan of Samurai Jack, so seeing that series was awesome. I know a lot of people like that series a lot. I will say it was, to me, a little bit too much like Samurai Jack instead of Star Wars, but I mean, I'm not mad about that. Like, it's still really cool. But I don't know, the Clone Wars has just been like seeing the progression of not only like the Clone Wars series itself, but the characters in it, and how they've done a great job of bringing all those characters like to where they are now in like season 7 and all that is just it's been amazing to watch. So yeah, Clone Wars, way right up there. So next up, I want to do The Force Awakens, and I know that a lot of people won't agree with this. Like, I have Force Awakens was my fourth favorite movie overall, but I feel like a lot of the stuff like The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker is really like. I know there are people who didn't like The Force Awakens from the beginning, and there are people who have legitimate reasons, and there are people who are like, oh, they put a woman as the main character. The people who were like, oh, there's a black guy as the main character. And like those people, I don't really care about. I understand if you don't like Force Awakens because it's very similar to the first Star Wars movie, like that I get. But I mean, I feel like people are forgetting just the hype and everything, just like how big it was in what was that 2014? Yeah, I think that's 2014 when that movie came out. You know, like there was so many memes, so many like we were just scrambling for a trailer. Like we were just glad to have Star Wars back. You know what I mean? And that's what I miss. Like people were just like fighting and like arguing and just attacking the actresses or actors or whatever. I'm like that's not cool, man. That's not what Star Wars is about. That's what I don't like. And when before Force Awakens come out, like everybody was just like it was so cool. And even after Force Awakens came out, it was still cool. Even if there were people who didn't like it, people weren't being like toxic or anything. And it was just nice, and it was a good movie. And there were a lot of good things like I liked a lot about that movie. Sure, it was very similar to A New Hope, but I'm not mad about that. A New Hope's a great movie. So yeah, it's a great movie. Um, but I just love the introduction of new things like Kylo stopping the blaster bolt. The fact that I liked Kylo's look, his mask and everything. I liked Ray. I liked Finn. You know, he was a funny, interesting character. I liked Poe. He was just cool. Like BB-8, super cute. You know, there's good little. You know, they had good humor in it. It was just a fun movie. They brought back Han Solo, and then obviously the end of that movie when Kylo, you know, kills his own father, and it's just there's so much emotional weight to that, you know. And it was just overall a really good movie, you know. And I still remember that, like, just the absolute hype and excitement around that movie. You know, I had just moved to San Francisco. Oh yeah, it was 2015. Sorry, the movie came out 2015, and I just moved to San Francisco, and you know, just the feeling, you know. Ah, man. And like people lining up to see the movie, like so many people. I went to go see it at this tiny little theater over here in San Francisco. It's one of my favorite theaters. It's small, but it's just nice. And just how happy everybody was in the line, you know. They're just excited for some new Star Wars, and it was really cool. And I feel like we lost a lot of that over the last few years, you know. And I get why people are bitter, but there's a difference between being bitter and having, you know, real, like, constructive things to say and just being like toxic. So yeah, that's how I feel about it, and that's why Force Awakens is like fourth for me because it was just a great movie, and I enjoy it to this day. So next up, let's talk about Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith. That's a movie when it first came out. I think people were it had the same kind of effect as like the sequel trilogy. Now people were like bitter about these first two movies weren't great. Obviously, it's different because it was all about The Last Jedi mostly, which are why people are bitter about the sequel trilogies mostly now. But it was kind of the same thing. Like people were bitter about the prequel trilogy, like these aren't that good, blah blah blah, and it kind of affected. I was a kid, so I didn't really care that much about what everybody thought. I just wanted to see people like stab each other and cut off each other's arms and stuff. Like I didn't care. And I don't think it's until later that I realized like how good the Revenge of the Sith actually was. Like it wasn't. It still had a lot of the problems that the prequel movies had, but just the cinematography, the music, the sheer like emotional weight behind it, like Lucas knocked it out the park with Anakin becoming Vader. It was done so well, and there's some plot holes obviously, and like some things that were awkward, just like any of the other prequels. But to this day, one of the best lightsaber fights ever. Obi-Wan versus Anakin on Mustafar, like absolutely incredible. When he had the high ground, cuts off Anakin's legs, his other arm, and Anakin burning up and telling him like I hate you, and like it. I know people hated Hayden Christensen, you know, a lot back in the day, but he played the shit out of that. Like he did so well, you know. You really felt that, like that. He's telling that to his brother, you know, and that's a scene to this day that like just carries with you. Like it was so good, and that's the thing, you know. There's not a single Star Wars movie with no issues in it, but it's Star Wars, you know. It's always how it's been. There's been plot holes. There's been weird things introduced. There's been, you know, some characters that weren't as fun, some characters that were annoying, some people who aren't as good as actors. But you take what you like out of it because everybody likes. There's a lot of things that people like altogether, but there are things that certain people like and others don't. You know what I mean? And you take out what you like about it. That's all it's been about, you know. And we get amazing things like the shows and stuff. We get the comic books. We get video games like Fallen Order and KOTOR and you know the Old Republic. Like we get all these cool things off of moments, you know. And that is the most incredible thing to me about Star Wars is they've been able to build this entire universe off of so little. Like it's crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, Revenge of the Sith, one of my favorite movies in terms of cinematography. Like one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Like just a lot of beautiful scenes in that movie. You know, just incredible. Rogue One. Rogue One's one of the newer, you know, Disney made movies that I think most people can agree they really like. And Rogue One throughout was a good movie. Like they had some cool characters that I all enjoyed. They brought back Saul Guerrero from Clone Wars, you know, and it's like crazy to see him like old being played by Forrest Whitaker and stuff. And it's just like, oh shit, like it's a character from Clone Wars. And yeah, I mean, it's just cool to see characters from shows that you watched having to do with Star Wars or like comics or whatever being brought into like live action. It's really cool. Um, yeah, all the characters are good. You know, Jane Urso. I know some people didn't like her too much, but I thought she was a good character. Obviously, Mads Mikkelsen playing her dad. Like Mads Mikkelsen's an amazing actor. Like, yeah, anything he's in, it's gonna be cool. Like, I just love the way the dude sounds. Like, he's awesome. And they gave a good explanation to why there was a weakness in the Death Star. Like, it makes sense. Like, he put it in there. Like, that's good, and that's what these other shows and these spin-offs are for. They can fix some of the continuity. Like, it's fine. Like, there's nothing saying they can't do that, and I'm very cool with it. And overall, it's a good movie. But what makes it great for me, and I think for most people, which is just like shot it up my list, because otherwise, I feel like it would have been like in the middle, was that final scene. Everybody knows. Like, I think we've been waiting years to see Darth Vader just absolutely like cut loose and be the absolute badass that he is, and we did. Like, yeah, wow. I mean, absolutely incredible scene. Just the darkness. You know, the rebels like trying to get the Death Star plans or whatever, out of there. Can't open the door, and then all of a sudden you just hear like the walking and the breathing, and then bam, turns the lightsaber on. There's Vader, and you're like, oh, shit is about to go down. Like, that shit is insane. Like, and yeah, just absolutely incredible, man. And you just see him tear through all those rebels. And I just found out actually that apparently Sam Witwer, who plays Starkiller in The Force Unleashed and Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, he's apparently one of the rebels in that hallway. And I didn't know that, and that's very cool to know. But yeah, I mean, just awesome scene, awesome scene. Uh, so fun to watch, and I will rewatch that scene all the time. And I finally got my mom to watch that movie, and she was like, "Oh, that's an amazing scene." I'm like, "Right, isn't it?" But yeah, like, incredible. And speaking of, shout out to my mom because she introduced me to Star Wars and like so many other cool movies like Aliens and stuff like that. Like, yeah, she's the reason I like film and just nerdy shit in general. So thanks, mom. Love you. Um, so yeah, I mean, that was the that was just an amazing scene. When I saw it in theaters, I literally nerdgasmed. It was pretty insane. Like, that shit is crazy. So, yeah, I guess the last movie I can talk about is my absolute favorite. Has always been my absolute favorite, and will always be my absolute favorite. Is Empire Strikes Back. A New Hope was the first one that I saw, but Empire Strikes Back is what made me an absolute Star Wars fan. Like, I liked A New Hope, but like I said, when I saw it for the first time, I threw up and I had to be taken out of the theater. And then the prequels came out, I think, because I believe that was around like the end of the '90s that I saw A New Hope, and then Phantom Menace came out, and I was like, okay, I need to see the rest of these like these older movies because I need to understand what's going on. So obviously I watched Empire Strikes Back and then Return of the Jedi, and the Empire Strikes Back has just always struck me as it's just my absolute favorite. You know, and there's just so many things about it, like from beginning to end, that I love. You know, like obviously it's the most, I feel like, iconic film. Even if nobody's seen Star Wars, everybody absolutely knows the line, like, you know, no, Luke, I am your father. Like everybody knows that, and there's just so many good things. The fight between Luke and Darth Vader on that ship, you know what I mean? Like, just for it was made. I think that was made in the '80s, right? That was made in the '80s, and the cinematography was so good. I put it on par with Revenge of the Sith. Like, it's so good. And Revenge of the Sith was made like 20 something, almost years later. But I put that cinematography on the same. Just like the silhouettes of Luke and Vader fighting. You know what I mean? And it was well choreographed. it was fun, and you get that reveal at the end after Luke gets his arm cut off, and that's like the beginning of the hand cutting off thing in Star Wars. It's just like there's so many things about Empire Strikes Back. When Luke goes into the cave, he trains with Yoda. He has the vision where it's like him in his father's mask. There's, uh, Luke and Leia and Han being frozen in carbonite. Fucking, oh my god, so many good things. Like, so many good things. Um, Damn. I'm just trying to think of all of it. Also, I need to rewatch that movie because, I mean, like, May the 4th, May this, Revenge of the 6th. Like, it's perfect time to rewatch that movie. But I love so much about that movie. I believe that's when we're introduced to the Emperor. So I'm not sure if they showed him in the New Hope. But yeah, I mean, so many good things. The Empire Strikes Back will always be my favorite. It's an awesome movie. It's fun to watch. It's got amazing cinematography, incredible effects, especially when you consider when it was made, and it's still like on par for one of the best Star Wars movie ever made, like effects wise. Like it's incredible. And I could talk about the whole movie, but I'm not going to because that'll make this way too long. But yeah, I mean that's my list, man. I love all Star Wars. It's been incredible that we've been able to get so much. I know some people are like mad at Disney or something, that like Star Wars has been ruined or that kind of thing, but it's like, come on, everybody has something that they like. You can't tell me that you don't like Rogue One. You can't tell me you don't like The Mandalorian. You can't tell me you didn't like the last season of Clone Wars. You can't tell me that you didn't like Force Awakens. You know what I mean? Even if you hate The Last Jedi or Rise of the Skywalker, or maybe you hate Force Awakens, maybe you hate Rogue One, maybe you hate all of that. Maybe you hate Solo, I get it, but there's something good in everything, and the more Star Wars we get, the better, in my opinion. I just love it. So, thank you for watching or listening, either way, and have a good one. May the Force be with you. Peace.